Well, hello everyone. Hey, today I decided I was going to hop on here and take some time and talk to whoever happens to hop on here, or maybe you'll listen to it a little bit later. Um, I've been doing a lot of work behind the scenes, and I spent about 4 hours this morning coaching and tutoring and teaching in places behind the scenes that people wouldn't necessarily see me unless you're meeting with me. So I always enjoy the one on ones. None of it was group, just one on one chatting with people. And then I thought, I'm going to get on my Substack, and I haven't tried out the video section here. I tried it a little bit on my phone, but I wanted to try it on my desktop and some other areas. So here I am. So I do have a topic I'd like to talk to you about today. So if you happen to hop on here when I'm live, welcome. I've opened this to everyone. And I don't want to just waste your time talking about nothing and buttons. And so I'm not here to train you on anything on this page, other than you might hear me talk about something as I'm trying to find something. So it's what I noticed. There's a lot of new things here that I hadn't seen. Maybe they're old and I just didn't notice them. And it looks like I might start using this more often than some of my other channels. But first of all, where have I been? I know I do have some subscribers and followers here. If you happen to listen to this somewhere else, if it pops up somewhere else, downloaded, uploaded, um, welcome. But mainly, I'm going to be talking about myself as a writer and creator, designer, and I'm going to talk a little bit about AI. So if you happen to hop on here, there is a live chat where I'm at now when I'm live. Um, you can drop your thoughts in there. The only thing I ask of people, keep it clean. Please keep it polite. You don't always have to say please, thank you, blah, blah, blah. But you know what I'm talking about. We're adults here, right? So if something ever shows up anywhere that's really, we'll just use the word filthy. If that's what you want to do on your channels, hey, that's up to you. But I keep my channels clean, professional, not always the best on lighting and everything else, but I've been doing this for a long time. So, one of the things I believe we need to do for each one of us, even when I'm talking about AI today or designing or creating, we need to make the decision even when we see someone else doing something, and maybe they all of a sudden have thousands of people following them, even if it's here or wherever that is, that we need to make the decision, each one of us personally, um, what we want to be involved in, what we allow on our channels, and what we don't. That's the great thing about even social media or being here. So I am just excited being on Substack. I was kind of at the beginning, but now that there's even more tools here that I'm able to use. So, where have I been behind the scenes? Behind the scenes, I've been creating. I've been tutoring and coaching. I've done that for about 5 years, but that's not public. It's online, but it's not public. So that takes me right now from 15 to 20 hours. Weeks I have time, that's about 25. So everything else fits between that. So maybe you're listening to me and you can understand that, right? My goal is to move out of the type of tutoring and coaching that I'm doing eventually, cut those hours and be able to spend more time on Journey with Nancy and Nancy J Ministries and our learning community. So let's dive in with my thoughts um, as a writer and creator. One of the things I notice, not only on this platform, no matter where we go online, there is someone that's going to be telling us to succeed, you must do A, B, C, and D, or you must do one, two, three, and four, exactly as I am doing it. Meaning, If you have been successful and that's great, and you have those thousands of followers, well, to me, thousands of followers does not equal income. Never has. But I was in sales for many, many years. So we called it the sales funnel, right? And the sales funnel, if you were to draw it, was shaped like this, right? And so you needed to put, we had a statistic we used, a certain amount of people into this funnel, which at the top, this represents more. And some of you may know exactly what I'm talking about here, but this represents more people. And statistically, that little thing down here in the funnel, you're only going to have so many people that purchased your product as a sales rep. So I did that kind of job for years. And I noticed, because life changes, if I didn't keep adding to this funnel, right, there wasn't as many clients or customers coming out the bottom that becoming my new client or my new customer. And that's just the way everything works. And occasionally, man, you can all of a sudden have almost everyone that you talk to becomes a client. And I think the online world is the same. So, but yeah, it's a little bit different because I was going to look, right? I was in my car seeking new business and turning that new business into long term business in the area of a relationship. But online, as many of you know, that's different, right? We just put it here, put it there, throw it out there, design this, try this, change this, and people are coming to us. Occasionally, like through a newsletter, still the same thing. Like I have a newsletter company that I've used for many, many years. I've used MailChimp, and I put that link out there, but people are still coming to me. I'm making available what's here. And maybe in some area online, I'm setting something up, but someone wants to talk to me. And so I begin to have a conversation with them. So that's just all part of everything out there in the online world. But back to before I started talking about the sales and the funnel. This is why I disagree with people that say my way is the only way to be successful online. Well, when I was in sales many years ago, I went through a lot of training. I listened to experienced people, and then I adapted it to what worked for me. Who are my customers? Who are my people? The company that I work for. How is the company set up? Right? So, anytime I see just a long list of people, whether it is here or on other channels and other places online. And anytime they say this is the only way that you will be successful. And then, of course, at the bottom, they will have usually a disclaimer, right? There's a disclaimer there that this does not work this way. We do not guarantee, blah, blah, blah. But usually, if someone is being really high pressured about you only use this my way, now, I have went through training, right? I've went through a lot of online training, but usually when I listen, and I'm going to share a little bit about AI and some training I went through previously, but after I go through this training, most of the valuable training is someone who is teaching us in a way that works for us. They will add to this if you do this way. I'm going to use this as an example. This is in the offline world, like out there face to face with people. But I also believe we can apply that today in the area of writing or creators or designing, um, and even the use of AI. So this is many years ago, but I don't believe it's old fashioned. It still works today. Um, I had my boss made it a mandatory what shall I call it? It was mandatory training that we needed to take. It wasn't even going on site anywhere. At that time, instead of streaming, it was this big binder with all these lessons in it. And you went through all of this training. And if I remember correctly, it was on DVD. But I think I found it audio somewhere at that time to listen to. So I started going through this training, and then we started having meetings at the company. And this was the last company I ever worked for in sales. But I've never forgotten this, and I've applied it to my life today, which looks completely different. I'm no longer in that kind of sales. Um, but is what happened. There were some ideas that I thought would really work for me. But then when I was in the meetings with our manager, he wanted us to use this script face to face with people and do it exactly what he was telling us to do. Say this, say this, say this. And then is what happened. I'll use me as an example. Then he required us to go with him so we could see how he does this. Now, I'm not saying he was bad. He was really good at his job with his customers, with his clients, but sorry, he was really bad with employees and staff because he only believed there was one way. There was only one way to do sales, and there was only one procedure. And so we would go with him and he would do this. And luckily, he didn't make me do this in front of people because I was really uncomfortable with the style. It was a very high pressure, a um, very pushy, very authoritative. And I already had clients that if I switched it to this, man, I knew my clients, this is not going to work. But anyway, he was my manager and he told us we were to try this, we were to do this, and we would see success. I'm only going to give you one customer story. I'm in one of my best accounts, and it was a large company. It was part of one of the largest companies in our state. It was more a satellite place, but the business potential was large, repeat business and payment. They were very good. I already knew this at paying their bills, right? Those are all things we want. And so I got to know them very well. I would see them once a week. We'd have meetings, we'd discuss what their current problems were. And so one day I go in and I'm meeting in the purchasing department. And this time I'm with one of their managers instead of a lower purchaser. And he looks at me and he said, "What is wrong with you?" And I thought, I don't know. I didn't know what he was talking about. I said, "What do you mean?" And this is what he said. He said, "What in the world?" Kind of, and I won't use the word he was using, but it was a swear word. And he said, "What in the, and what are you doing? And where did you learn this?" And I thought, gosh, how much do I tell him? And he said, "Have you been through some training? Because we really liked you the way you were before." Um, and I said, "Well, thank you very much." So in that meeting, I went back to being what works for me. Now, Now what do I do when I go back to a meeting and in the meeting the manager said, okay, we're going to go around the room and tell me how this worked for you. And I thought, oh my goodness, do I be honest or do I lie? So I decided to be honest. Um, and he said, fine, go back to the way you were doing it before. So I did. And I've always used that as an example that we need to be careful when we go through training if we're already doing something. For my personality, I was not a pushy salesperson. Even with the courses I'm doing online, you will never see that. You might see a lot of little things floating around here, but that's just not who I am. So take that to online. It's okay that people are selling their programs, whether it's for writing or maybe here on Substack, it's for notes, right? I'm not putting you down if you listen to me. I'm not saying that's wrong, but our words communicate a lot. And I could go back again to the story I was just sharing with you in my sales world and share a little bit more about that, but I won't because that's not really my point. My point is for all of us, whether you're listening to me on Substack or somewhere else. I'm not a person that's going to give instructions on Substack. I'm just talking about in general the creator and designing world, right? And now I have something I'd like to share about AI because this comes up in all of my conversations when I am coaching or I am tutoring. I use it for conversations, right? Part of what I do is I'm an global English language tutor slash teacher. I'm more of a tutor because I meet that person where they're at right now to help them to move further ahead. And so that's also like a coach. But sometime, if they're an advanced English speaker, I'll throw out a topic. And lately, we've been talking about AI. And this is what I'm hearing. And these are students that live all around the world from different places, different locations, different languages, different cultures. And AI has touched every country in the area of working with people in the different countries that I connect with. Um, and one of our topics in the last week has been AI as a tool, right? So I know I've read some areas on Substack when there are people they really agree with using AI to write. There are other people that are against using AI to write. There are some that they're writing ebooks and all they use is AI and they slap their name on it and out it goes. And the latest word for um, some of the AI and different websites are and even social media are starting to build tools to recognize this. And it has a name and it's called AI slop, SLOP, AI slop. It's just really worth nothing. Um, Although you could write an ebook, people do that, and it is very good. But I'm going to share my opinion on that for me. This is for me because I have examined this for me and decided, okay, where am I with this, and how much do I want to use this? So I'm going to use the area of marketing. I am a writer, but I don't like writing marketing material. If I spent more time at it, I'd probably be pretty good at it. But I don't like doing it. But sometime in our businesses, we have to do things we don't like, right? That is true. Um, so is what I did. I attended a class after reading what different people wrote on Substack and their opinions of AI and listening to all of my different students. And the way I lean is using AI as a tool. It doesn't replace my writing. I'm not interested in writing an entire book only using AI to write the book and then sell it for money, right? Like the AI tool I use, I've used it enough. It's getting to know me. So I just have learned through a class I have taken how to put those prompts in right now. I'm not going to go all through that right now, what I do there, because that's not what this is about. But I believe AI works well for a tool. That's what I have used it for. And the class that I went through, that was probably last year, I think. I took this class. It was a free class online. And I can't remember what country this class was out of, but I know it wasn't in the United States. And it had three different sections. So I'm not into coding and all of those things, but I just wanted a couple of the general workshops. And the one I really spent the time on was AI as a tool. How I wanted to know how could I use that? Um, and it's why I keep saying AI is a tool because through this entire class, it was like 2 days. I wasn't in the class for 2 days, I kind of skipped through the information that I felt was valuable for me because my schedule was full as usual. And I focused on AI as a tool, and they kept saying that again and again and again. And one of the men I remember said, "Don't give your brain away to AI." Right? We could apply that to anything. Use it as a tool. And that was threaded through this entire course. Don't use AI to replace your brain. And that has stayed with me. So I decided to begin to use some AI with my writing, but I use it to help me create, help me to come up with ideas. Like in the marketing, I write something myself really quick, right? Maybe it's a bio for me. Okay. I write something, or I take an old one that I have and I put it into the AI, guess the one I'm on, they call it prompt. I put it in, um, and then I tell it what to do. Is what I learned in this class was don't ask it questions. That's Google. Just tell it what to do. So that's what I did. I told it, take my bio, and it can also search other places out there online. So it is able to pull in my information and give me a concise 2 paragraph professional bio. But please, I always say please. And here's why I say please, because when it creates for me, it creates and includes me being polite, right? So it described me very well. Like, I mean, very well. So that is marketing. Now, me and my students were talking about this. I ask when I'm teaching a lot of thinking questions. What do you think about this? I don't want you to always agree with me. That's how we practice English. I don't want you to always agree with me. I want you to express your opinion, okay, and tell me why. And when they were looking at this, um, we also talked about, let me back up. We also talked about people who say um, we should not use AI at all. How could we answer them if we disagree with this? Well, I was also forming my own thought and opinion on this. And this is where I stand with this, and this was my thought process as we talked through this, that if I don't use AI, say to do that little bio, right? Um, but my business became so busy, I need to hire another employee to do all those things, right? To do the copy, to do my bio, to write the marketing, and there are people that do that. Okay, they're going to do that work for me. I'm going to pay them, or if they volunteer, right? They're going to do that work for me. They're going to turn it in to me, or they're going to post it, and they're doing it on my behalf. Just like if someone does a book cover for me, right? That is another person. Now I'm not talking about AI right now. They do a or design a book cover for me, or the back, or an editor goes through it. Then it comes back to me. My name is on it. It's mine. If they are paid, they are paid to do this. So, what is the difference if I am using AI? I haven't designed a book cover with it, but if I am using it to design my marketing material, like recently, um, I was trying something new because this part is all new for me. And I was thinking, man, I need to save time. This is going to take me forever um, to market this course. And so I got into my AI area that I was using and put in what I wanted. I uploaded 2 different pictures, and I asked it to take, they were completely opposite pictures. I asked it to take the one picture, which was of me, a professional picture, use this photo, and um, oh, sorry. You see the balloons on this? Sorry about that. I forgot to. shut off a prompt. There, it's off. I have this prompt on my computer that I use with students. I can do balloons, thumb up, thumb down. Okay, rabbit trail, come back, Nancy. Distraction. So I put in, back to this, I put in a photo of me, a professional photo that I already had, and then I'd already asked this AI to design this photo of something completely opposite. This woman, you may have seen it floating around on my notes, with her glasses up and her hair's up, completely opposite. I said, bring them together as one. Well, and then I put style and the title of the course that I designed. And is what it did. I thought it would kind of make me look a little crazy. It didn't do that. It had me up here and then another woman that looks really crazy, blonde hair, glasses, looks really messy and like just tired, right? Because this class is called Learning to Live with a Quiet Heart in a World That Doesn't Slow Down. So it did a beautiful job. Then I could change the sizes and blah, 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 blah. Okay, here's the thing. What is the difference between if I hire someone to design this for me or I use an AI prompt? And in my discussion with students today, 3 different students, we came up with this. There isn't. It's still ours. It wasn't pulling from somebody else's copyright or taking someone else's book. It was designing a marketing tool. So, why do I share that? Because maybe for you, that's not okay. Maybe you don't want to use AI to design anything. That's okay too. I want to encourage you to do what works for you, right? Try different things, experiment. Or maybe you are someone that you just want to take the marketing area of what you do and just give it over to someone else and hire someone. That's okay too. And so to me, I'm never going to be a person that you're going to hear me say, only do this way. Like, I don't focus on marketing, but today I decided um, I wanted to hop on here, give the Substack live a try. And then I just wrote down on this little piece of paper I have setting here 2 different topics I wanted to talk about. And many times you may see me somewhere else online. And that's what I'm doing. There's just a topic here that I'd like to share. And so I would say this, I am passionate about using AI. This is my personal opinion. I believe it is changing the world, but I believe, like anything else, and my students and I talked about this along with um, the ethic, let's call it ethics, the ethics of using AI. Um, that just like anything, there is an opportunity to use something for good or to use it for bad. And even when we started using the internet, and I'm old enough, I've started with no internet to flip phones to all the way to smartphones. And I've always had technology something, and I just moved up with it because I saw the benefit of it. But in the past, were there things, even at the beginning of the internet unfolding and bringing it into our houses and into our homes and also into our schools and using it for good, but there was people that use it for bad? AI is the same thing. That's why governments in different countries are coming up with laws and rules and regulations, right? I live in the country, we have free speech, but we always have this tug of war when something is new. So, one of my students today, um, we were talking about this topic, and all my students are adults, by the way. Most of them are career people, university, applying for jobs, work for global companies. So, they're serious about improving their English. And I'm not advertising for that here. So that's not my main reason for being here. It's just part of what I do. That one of the idioms we used, because in English, I don't know if you ever thought of this, we use a lot of idioms. Um, and one, it's old, but we still use it today, and it's don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. So the way I explained that to a student, because I didn't know what that meant, was say if you have a little plastic or a little bathtub for a baby, put the baby in there, you're washing the baby, and then when you're done, you need to take the baby out and you need to throw out the water, right? But you keep the bathtub, you keep the baby, but you get rid of the water. And so for me, using I use that idiom, don't throw out the baby with the bathwater, or just like the internet. AI is working great for me. Am I still learning? Yes. I'm a person that believes we should be a lifelong learner. So that's what I'm here today just to talk about. My eyes may look a little bit funky because when I'm on the computer so much, and um, also I have things a little bit dark, so I'm not sure how bright this is going to be with the lights. If you watch this video, because in a few weeks I'm going to have eye surgery, and so one of my eyes is giving me a little bit of problems, and I look like I'm crying sometime, and I'm not crying, right? Um, so if my eyes look a little bit funky, and you're wondering, oh, what's wrong with her? She looks kind of tired. Well, the eyes are tired, but the body's not. So on that note, thank you for listening to me just ramble on about being a creative, a designer, and also AI. That's just a few of my thoughts. So hope to talk to you again. Bye.